How was your sunshine trip?
Oh my goodness, it was so amazing. It was actually incredible to just be outside. Like right now, I like being outside no matter the weather, but there's something so much nicer about being in the sun and being outside and it being bright. And honestly, Morocco, it's so vibrant. There's so much colour everywhere and so much I don't know, just energy about it, and it was just really really nice to just be in that because right now in Glasgow it is really really dull.
Yeah. Tell me a little bit about the puppies.
Oh my goodness, yeah. So we went to this. I mean, when we're walking around on a day-to-day basis, you see stray cats and kittens everywhere. I mean, I don't think you could walk down a single street without seeing two or three cats, if not more. And there were also the stray dogs. There were donkeys and horses that are being worked. I mean, people had the big old. I mean, as people do use donkeys, with like big trailers attached to the back of them and pulling through things through the streets, and the horses were on the horse drawn carriages and all the rest and standing out in the sun, and you could see that they were skinny and they probably weren't well taken care of, and I just looked up rescue shelters in the area, and so we just spent the morning just loving on all of the dogs, and we brushed down one of the horses that they had and took some dogs for a walk, and it was just honestly it was so wholesome and so nice, and we gave a donation because we were just like, how could you
Yeah.
not? Everything they're doing is so incredible, and all of the dogs were so loving. Every single one of them just wanted to be loved. They just all came running up to you and wanting pets. It was so sweet and lovely, and I just loved every second
We'll
of it.
add it to the list of places that we want to eventually support financially and
Mm.
regularly. Because I know that's
Oh
something we
gosh,
talked about,
there was
is
so
that
many.
we want to support all of the charities and especially the animal ones.
Hmm.
I bought something the other day from one of our episodes, but I'm not going to tell you because I think it's going to arrive by the time we record on Monday, so I'm very excited.
From one of our episodes or
Like,
for one of our
no, so
episodes?
like supporting a charity that's from one of our episodes.
Oh,
Yeah.
excellent!
So
How
that should be
exciting!
arriving in the next couple of days. And what else is there to tell you? Mm,
I don't think much,
nothing
actually.
much. Nothing.
I've
Nothing.
got
I've got
nothing.
nothing. Um,
Okay.
so, hello, mi amor, and welcome to
26 to
yeah.
life.
We are giving up on counting
Yes!
episodes because let's be honest, every time I forget. So, we're here. As you can see, as you can tell. And today Rosie is telling me a story, and if you have not heard of us before, we are a pair of idiots who twice a week, we tell each other a true crime
Twice a
story that
week.
is in the UK.
Hmm.
And what are you drinking? That looks yummy.
Tea.
Love a tea. And we chat about it, annoy each other.
Yep. We
We
get
get
mad
mad about
about
things.
things, annoy each
Today,
other.
your Stephen Port episode dropped literally about 5 minutes ago. It was great.
Woo!
I'm going to need you to stop fidgeting.
I'm sorry, I'm just arranging.
She's
I've
got ants in her pants,
a
this
fidgeter.
child.
I know, I really do. I'm sorry.
It's
Okay,
okay.
I'm ready. No, I'm not. I lied. Okay, I'm ready.
Okay, so before
I'm
we
ready.
get started, just a word of warning that our podcast covers some difficult topics. Today, it will be looking at
Murder, stalking, yeah.
trigger
Spoiler alert,
warning.
it's a rough one.
Only listen.
Violence against women.
Oh, here we go. Only listen if you're feeling strong enough, and please think very carefully before listening with children. So, here we go.
Okay, I keep on choosing these cases that really slam the British police, and that's not my intention because I know that they're good. I just want to preface this whole episode that I know
Rosie
that
hates
they're
the police.
good police. No, I definitely don't. It's just that I find it's so infuriating, and I think it's just a perfect way to highlight how we can do. I don't know what it's
It's
highlighting.
highlighting
It's
things
just,
that
I
need
think it's important
change.
to
There's
talk
no point
about.
talking about things that have already, like,
Yes,
I mean, there is for history, but there's not a huge amount of point talking about things that have already been changed. We need to talk about things that still have work to be done.
exactly. And it's not that they didn't make any changes in response to this case, because they did, but if somebody else is going through a similar situation and they feel like they're not being listened to, I hope that they can listen to this story if they haven't already heard this story and know that it's not right for people not to listen, that you should be heard and you have every right to be heard. So I'm going to start by telling you about Shana Grice. In 2015, Shana Grice was living her best life. She was 18 years old. She had just started her first proper job as a receptionist. She was saving up money to marry her boyfriend of 2 years, Ashley Cook. She was still living in the same kind of area as she grew up in, which was Portslade, which is just outside of Brighton. It's on the, if you don't know where Brighton is, like the southern coast of England, about an hour and a half from London. And although she still stayed in that area, she was close to her family, she lived in a flat with two other girls. She was described as a beautiful, bright, and bubbly girl. A lot of her friends said that she was like the mum of the group, so always taking care of everybody else. She just wanted to be friends with everyone, and she really was liked by everyone. She was super easy to get along with. So at this job, she met a mechanic called Michael Lane. Michael was 26 and immediately took a liking to Shana. She was, 18 at the time, so she was young and impressionable, and I mean, she thought that this attention from Michael was somewhat romantic, and they actually soon secretly started dating. She broke things off with her long-term boyfriend Ashley, and she was telling her friends like she didn't know who to choose, that she really liked them both. But after an argument with Michael at a Christmas party, so this was at the end of 2015, Shana called off her relationship with Michael, and she got back with Ashley shortly after. It was like a blip in their relationship, but they're in the kind of relationship where you loved each other since you were 16, so almost like childhood sweethearts. And I feel like when you've childhood sweethearts, you almost always end up going back to them. But anyway, so after that, she basically told Michael, no, I'm calling it off. I want to be with Ashley. But this is when Michael started showing obsessive tendencies towards Shana, and it wasn't long before she first reported him to the police. So on January 13th, 2016, just a few weeks after that argument that they had at the Christmas party, Michael sent her flowers for her 19th birthday, which, I mean, it seems like such a small thing, but...
No, I had this. Did I tell you about
exactly.
this?
I don't think so, no. I'm sure
I
you
had this. I was at work, and it was like my graduation day, but my graduation day from teacher training. And so it wasn't a big deal, but it wasn't a massive deal. Like, I hadn't told many people about it, and blah blah blah. And this huge reception called me and said, oh, there's something down here for you. And I thought maybe it was like the training provider, because at Christmas they'd left us a book and whatnot. And I got down there and there was a huge bunch of flowers, and I was like, wow, what is this? And it said on it, to the girl who makes me smile every day. And I was like, I don't make anyone smile every day. Like, what is this?
Yeah.
So
yeah,
I was a bit confused.
What are you talking about?
I was a bit confused. Called the florist, because also it was a local florist, so it wasn't going to be anyone who knew me, who lived near me, because my work isn't near me. So it was a local florist to my work. So I called them and I was like, who has done this? And the girl on the other end of the phone, she started laughing, and I was like, what? And she said, the guy doesn't want you to know who it is, like, he's done it anonymously. And I was like, that's a bit creepy, because he's got my name and he's got where I work. And I don't live in this area, so who would be doing this?
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, all right, never mind. Never worked out who it was. And then a couple of weeks later, another one shows up. And I was like,
I think I
No, this
remember this.
is
I think I was living with
re-
you at the time, but yeah, this is weird.
really freaky. And it said, I wait for you because I only want you. And I was like, no, this is beyond creepy. So I called the
Yeah.
florist and I said, look, it's not cute. I'm not flattered.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like it.
I feel
It's
uncomfortable,
quite
yeah.
scary. I feel uncomfortable. I don't know who this person is.
Mm-hmm.
They've not made any attempt to like speak to me, or I don't know who they are,
Yeah.
and they know where I work. If they come in again, please tell them not to do this.
Yeah.
And we did actually end up working out who it was, and it was somebody that I never had spoken to, maybe said hi to in the canteen, but they worked in the same building as me. And they had found out my name and my department and everything, and were doing that. And yeah, and I reported it, and it was so freaky and stalkerish and just weird behaviour.
It's so scary. And it's something that you just don't even, you don't, everyone thinks it's not a big deal, but it genuinely makes you feel so uncomfortable, you know? It's just to know that there's somebody who's watching you almost. You just don't know.
I think when it's unwanted, like
Yeah, it's like unsolicited. But especially in Shana's case, that she had just broken up with him and he was sending flowers, and it wasn't in a way of being like, I want you back. It was just kind of like reminding her that he was there almost, is what it seems like.
yeah,
Really gross.
don't forget about me. I'm just here.
She could be having a really great day, and then he has that control over her that he can ruin it in an instant just by her opening that card.
Always watching.
Exactly. Oh,
What's that from?
Mike Wazowski.
Very
Monsters
good.
Inc. Obviously. But aside from just the flowers, he would also call her persistently. He would be leaving her messages. He would be sending her messages all the time. And he would be constantly hanging out around her house, like on her street, just being around her place of, I mean, obviously she
You
worked
are a
with him as well.
26-year-old man.
Yeah.
Grow up.
Exactly.
Grow up.
Exactly. And there was once she found her tyres slashed and he was just magically there to help her change them. Like her knight in shining armour, just like putting himself in a good light. But it turns out that he had actually been the one who slashed her tyres.
Obviously,
so
yeah.
He had manufactured the whole situation
weirdo.
just to be able to make it seem like he was a good egg. So on the February the 8th, he keyed her boyfriend Ashley's car, and he left him a note to say that Shana will always cheat on you. Happy New Year. And this is when she first called the police. So I listened to the recording of her 999 call, and she sounded almost embarrassed to say it, but she said,
Yeah.
I think I'm being stalked, because she just didn't. It's really hard to kind of explain to someone, because you almost feel like you're not going to be believed. But I did some research, and it turns out that on average, a victim experiences 70 to 100 incidences before they contact the police, which is a huge amount. So,
but I suppose it's that thing of where you know that you're going to sound ridiculous, because that's how you've been made to feel. Hi, there's somebody leaving notes on my car.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, somebody slashed my tyre, and then this guy was standing right next to it. I think it might have been him who slashed it. Like,
someone's
immediately they're going to say
messages. It doesn't seem like it should be a threat, you know?
And they, like, there's this thing of you should be doing more to protect yourself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I mean, I have had to make a phone call about someone doing dodgy stuff outside my house, and I just called the non-emergency, and I was like, I'm scared, I'm at home, I'm with my child, like, can you just keep it on record that this has happened? And they said, are they on your property? And I said, no, they're just outside, like on the road, but outside my wall. Okay, but they're not in your property, so they're not doing anything. And I was like, okay.
So ridiculous. What, so if somebody throws an egg at my house from outside the property...
Oh, no, then it's touched my property.
So stupid. It's so ridiculous. But anyway, all she wanted was for the police to call Michael Lane, and to tell him to stay away from her. So that's what they did. She didn't want him to lose his job. She was still thinking of him. She was still just being that sweet, caring girl that she was. But the police called him and said, "Don't contact her again. Leave her alone. Like, knock it out, kind of thing. Knock it out, cut it out, cut it out,
Knock it off.
knock it off." Exactly.
Pack
So,
it in.
pack it in. Yes, exactly so. On March 24th, there was an office party and Shana went home early, and then Lane went back to Shana's appointment. Lane went back to Shana's appointment with her two housemates.
Apartment.
What did I say?
Appointment.
I said it again?
Yeah.
That's so annoying. On March 24th, Lane went back to Shana's apartment with her two housemates, which, I mean, I want to say girl code, because why would you bring this guy home if you knew full well that your housemate didn't like him? But also, I can imagine how manipulative he is at this point, and he probably just made them feel uncomfortable, made them feel as if they couldn't say no to him coming back, or like they didn't even have a choice. But when he turned up at her house, Shana didn't feel safe and she wanted to get away with him. So she left the flat and she planned to go to Ashley's house, which wasn't far away. So she started walking to Ashley's house and Michael followed her. But she was on the phone, so he tried to grab her phone, pulled her hair in the same instance, ended up hitting her, and Shana was able to get to Ashley's house, and it was Ashley's mother that actually called the police and said she's been attacked and you need to come and take a statement. So Police Constable Godfrey attended the scene, and he interviewed
And he's going to be a
Shana.
great egg, and he's going to listen to everything she has to say, and he's going to arrest Michael Lane. And that is our story, guys.
Yeah,
Happy Friday, team.
Woo! Let's wrap it up. Imagine. Oh, that would have been so nice. This is what frustrates me about this, is that you will notice that there are several instances where this could have just been stopped immediately. You know, there's so many points when you just think somebody could have done something right then and there. But Godfrey interviewed Shana. His first mistake was that he interviewed Shana in front of Ashley and his parents, which is against guidelines for interviewing people, because of course she's not gonna, I don't know, you wouldn't, this is someone that she used to date and you're interviewing her in front of someone that she's currently dating, you know, and his family. It's, I mean, aside from just, I can feel the discomfort.
I'm sure, can't she choose?
Well, yeah, but they didn't, I don't even know if they gave her an option, or it wasn't, I just read it everywhere.
Did they go that night to take the statement?
I couldn't find anything about the day on which it was. Why?
No, I found the police really lax with this. So when we called the police, when I was assaulted, they said to me, okay, we'll come in a week.
Bloody hell. I didn't really look into exactly why, but I saw a lot of places say that this was a breach of, I mean, it was just against the guidelines that Sussex police.
Yeah, she
and they
should
have interviewed her in private, so she could be, I mean, she just would feel more comfortable with them, I guess. But she told the police that she wasn't in a relationship with Michael Lane, which she wasn't. But then when the police interviewed Michael Lane, he showed them texts from her, said that they were in a relationship, and just told them all of these stories about how they've been together and blah, blah, blah. And so Godfrey said, so later on, spoiler alert, they actually did an inquest into this whole thing and looked into it. And Godfrey said, she was, I quote, she was ending her texts with 5 kisses. That's not someone who's being harassed. That's someone who's trying to hide her affair. So he just assumed that Shana and Michael were actually in a relationship, and she didn't want to admit it in front of her actual boyfriend, Ashley. And so she had lied about it to try and make it seem as if she wasn't having an affair. But the thing that annoys me, and is that something that I've seen in people pulling apart this case, is that why do they think that you can't be in a relationship with someone and still be scared of them? You know, you could still be being harassed and stalked and be in a relationship with the person. So that shouldn't have been a reason. It shouldn't have been a reason for them to not look into it.
No. So my thinking is was there anything on when these text messages were from? Like, who's to say he wasn't just showing her, like, if he's showing him stuff on his phone, I don't know, photos or whatever, how do they know that that's not old stuff as well that he's showing?
Yeah, but it for them it didn't matter. It was just the fact that, but she still worked with him. She still did interact with him. It wasn't that she had just cut him out completely.
Mm.
There were times when she did still talk to him, but so I mean, when she was sending messages, I mean, I don't know. In 2016, I was sending kisses on the end. Maybe I wasn't, but when I was 18, I was pretty much sending kisses on the end of every single message, no matter who I sent them to. That was just something that people did. And so.
But you're absolutely right. The idea of, like, she could have been in a relationship with him and still been scared of him and still being stalked and harassed by him.
Exactly, it didn't matter. It shouldn't.
And
It
she
shouldn't
was
have
the
mattered.
vulnerable person in this, and I know
Yeah.
I know she's technically an adult, but she's not. She's 18 and he is 26 years old. He is the adult in this situation.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. But get this.
You're still knocking into stuff.
Sorry. Get ready to get mad. So, she was branded as a liar. They took Lane's story as the truth, and they issued Shana a fixed penalty fine for £90 for wasting police time. Because they said that she was in a relationship and she had lied. I have no words.
I have zero. Do you know what? The worst part is it doesn't even surprise me.
No.
It doesn't surprise me because taking her side means looking into something, finding evidence, and that's hard work. That is hard work. Whereas listening to him is like, oh, girlfriend, she is dramatic, that one.
Yeah, emotional.
She's emotional.
All
and
these
you know
hormones flying over everywhere.
And I guarantee he was the manipulative person who was like, oh, well, she's with him and the parents have made her do that, but she actually loves me, but she's too scared to leave him. So that's why she's not actually called the police. They've called the police and blah, 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 blah. Yeah. I hate them.
Me too. And the thing that pisses me off even more is that the fact that he got away with this, you just know it gave him the confidence to keep on doing it. Yeah. Just because they said, okay.
Because she's a silly little girl.
Yeah. And so they've said, oh yeah, okay, knock it off, leave her alone and we won't have to come out here again. They were like, I don't know, it was just essentially a slap on the wrist. So he's thinking, oh, I can get away with this. Why the hell not? Why wouldn't I continue to harass her? So she eventually quit her job that she worked at with him and she found a new job in Hove. But Shana told her housemate at the time that nobody believed her, but it did actually happen. And because of the history of everything, it looked like she was lying, but it all just really knocked her confidence. So after that, and after being issued a £90 fine, which £90 at 19 years
18,
old.
yeah.
I was just 19 at this point. But yeah, it's a lot of money. I mean, I know that you're not. I mean, she was paying rent because she was living with her housemates. She had bills to pay. It's just.
And she doesn't have and this is not meant to sound patronising, but at 19, you don't have the confidence to go, I'm not paying that. Yeah. Take me to court. Exactly. Take me to court and let me present my case to a judge who is sensible and an adult and who will listen and who won't just poo-poo me, but I'm not paying that. A 19-year-old would be terrified of being in that situation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
That is awful.
She genuinely believed that she had actually done something wrong. She didn't want to waste police time.
Also,
she was a nice person.
Where are, and this is not blaming anyone else, but where are the adults in this situation?
So, I mean, I didn't see much about where her parents were in amongst this whole situation, but I do know that she had said to her friends and her family afterwards, I mean, not afterwards, but a few weeks, months down the line, that she had said to them, if you don't hear from me within a couple of hours, can you just make sure you check up on me? Because I'm scared, is what this came to. So I don't know. I feel like her family.
I feel like there must have been a conversation somewhere, because if her family is involved with her, and
Mhm.
either she hid this from them to stop them worrying, or they said to her, you know, like, you would think you'd take her home and be like, enough's enough, you can work here, move to this city. Like, if they're not, I don't know, I just feel like, where's the grown-ups?
Yeah, but what would you expect them to do? Because I mean, her boyfriend's parent was there. Her boyfriend's
As
parent
a, yeah,
was.
but as her parent, as her adult, you would go to the police station and you would say, absolutely freaking not. Absolutely not. No way. You are not paying that fine. I'm going to court. Take me to court. I'm not interested. My child is in danger. This happened to my child. You are going to listen to her one way or another. And it makes me think that either she wasn't saying something, or, and I'm not
No,
blaming them for anything, but
I
I just, something isn't right there.
I need to interject because you have got parents that advocate for you. You've got parents that will stick up for you and be there for you no matter what. And you are also the kind of mum that would do that, and you know that you can go to the police station and you will start a fight with anybody that got in the way that of you and your son, you know, that you are that type of mother, and your mother is that type of mother, you know, that you will always have your family back and they will have yours. But for some people, if they don't have that confidence, they I can imagine that some parents would probably think that if you ignore it, it'll go away, and that
Mm.
you never
Yeah.
think that it's going to happen to you, and you don't question the decisions of the police. You know that if they say that this, I mean, Shana needed this £90 fine, then you're not going to question it because that's the police that said it.
Yeah.
Some people hold police in such high regard, and even fully grown adults wouldn't have the balls to go to the police station and argue about it, or perhaps they didn't have the time because they're a working family and
Mm.
they just didn't have the means to be able to
No,
go and
you're
do
right.
that. I
I'm
don't know.
talking
There's
from a
so many.
massive place of privilege. I just think, for me, I feel like I'm missing a conversation that would have happened there. Or Shana's thought, do you know what? They're working, like, I don't want to worry them. It was just minor and it's not, do you know what I mean? Like,
I think her family were very aware of it. It's just that they, aside from her, she was doing all of the right things in terms of leaving reports. I mean, we'll hear about it, but she called the police 5 times over 6 months, making reports, and every single time they just said they considered it a low threat, or they were closing the case, or there was nothing more that they could do. It was she was doing everything, and and she probably
yeah,
called her
no, by
mum,
me, no,
and
like, it's not her fault and
she
it's
probably
no one's
called her
fault.
parents and said, I don't know what to do, and her parents probably said to her, you need to call the police again, and she called the police, and she put in a report, and then that was it. But I know that I feel like my mum probably would have said, make a report, call the police, but I don't know if she would have known what more I could have done, you know? I think
Yeah.
that not many people know that you can push further, but
Yeah, I think
people.
I just have, well, I'm talking from a place of having dealt with it. So I
Mhm.
suppose I already have a huge amount of, like, anger, and
Exposure
maybe I
to that,
was
yeah.
a,
Mhm.
yeah, and maybe I was someone who put a lot more faith in the police until they let me down. And then I thought, well, no, because if, you
Yeah.
can act like that, I can act like that.
Yeah.
But I I don't know. I suppose it's hard, isn't it? Because equally, you could be a parent who wants to say to your child, come home, live with us,
Yeah.
da 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 da. But you've got an 18-year-old, 19-year-old daughter living with two
Mhm.
friends. How do you take away their independence? How do you, essentially, you're letting that person then win and ruin their
Yeah.
life. So no,
And who's to
you're
say that it
absolutely
wouldn't
right.
continue if she were to live with her parents anyway? I'm sure
Yeah.
that he would find a way.
You check my privilege, Rose.
It's not that you're privileged. I mean,
I am.
you are a little bit privileged, but it's it's just a different perspective on things, and you
Yeah.
have got
I'm
an
just
incredible
privileged,
family
like the
that.
family that I have is
Mhm.
it's like, you know, we'll go to war for each other.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And that's the norm for you, you know? There's,
Yeah.
yeah. Privilege check! I feel like that should be our thing. Oh, so a few weeks after that, she actually broke up with Ashley again and got back with Michael. Which, again, I mean, listening to the psychologist reports on these things, they said it's just so indicative of an abusive relationship where,
Yeah.
I mean, afterwards they found messages from between Michael and Shana of him convincing her to break up with him and sending these really manipulative texts and those kinds of things. So she broke up with Ashley, got back with Michael, but then that also didn't last very long. It became very volatile very quickly, and she ended up with him again. And then July 9th.
Right.
Go on.
How do they learn how to be like this?
Who,
Because just abusive partners, because there is a very clear, like, things happen the same between multiple people. You can talk to lots of different people who've been in abusive relationships. Like, a lot of the things that you're saying, I recognise, I can see that. If you speak to these people, do they know that they are manipulative, abusive people? Do they know that they follow this playbook?
Honestly,
Because my
that's
ex would do
interesting.
something horrible and I'd be like, I can't do this anymore. I don't want to do this anymore. And I would be bombarded with hundreds of messages while I was at work, while I was whatever. And they wear you down, and, like, 6, 7 times. I mean, what is it on average? Somebody in an abusive or violent relationship, it takes them like 6 or 7 times to leave. Why is there so many patterns? Are the abusive people aware of the patterns? Do they know that they are the abusive people? Like, I don't know. How does it work?
I honestly, I couldn't tell you. I feel like that as a whole deep dive that we do not have time for, and I do not have the research on. I did not.
But do you see my point? I just find it odd that, like, so many people can follow the same abusive playbook.
Yeah. But anyway, okay, back to Shana. So on July 9th, Shana woke up. Sometimes you wake up.
We're in 2016 still, right?
Yes, yeah. This is all in the space of the same year now. So Shana woke up, and when you kind of you wake up and you feel like someone's watching you. I mean, even when you're not sleeping, but all the time you can be out and about and you feel like someone's
Do you know
watching
there's actually like a scientific thing for that?
Oh, really?
Yeah, because when somebody walks, and you can feel them, and then you're like,
yeah. So she woke up July 9th. It was around 6 a.m. and she heard heavy breathing in her room. There was somebody in the room with her, and she pretended to stay asleep. She basically was like under her duvet, under her covers, and she just stayed there, didn't move, just stayed as still and as quiet as she could until...
Because if you're under the duvet, the monsters can't get you.
Exactly. So until she heard this intruder leave. And as soon as she was sure that they were gone, she looked out of her bedroom window and guess who she saw leaving the house and walking away from her house?
If it was a clown, I'm going to cry.
Michael Lane. It turns out that he had stolen her back door key from her house and had been standing over her, watching her sleep at 6 o'clock in the morning.
Just that night? Or lots of nights?
That was the only one that was reported on. But she called him and she recorded the conversation, and she said to him, why did you do this? And he said, I just wanted to see you and I wanted to speak to you and I knew that you wouldn't let me.
Oh, and my goodness.
Like, what? How is that? I can't. But he said to her, I know I'm not right in the head.
Yeah, you've got to be a bit, like, something's not right. You've got to be a sandwich short of a picnic, because you can't possibly think that this is going to win someone over.
Yeah, but it's the feeling sorry for yourself to get their sympathy.
Mm.
It's the I just wanted to see you. I know that you wouldn't let me, and I know I'm not right in the head. And it's like they're trying to make you feel sorry for them to get you
Mm.
to sympathize so that you feel something for them, because any
And
feeling
because
is
of
better
that
than nothing.
hero complex, like you want to save them, you want to make them feel better, like you
Hmm.
want to fix them.
Hmm. Yeah, exactly. And so, I mean, on this call, you could hear she was really confident. She was saying, "Okay, well then maybe you need to go to the doctors. Maybe you need help and stuff like this." She was really setting her boundaries at the same time as she was confronting him for this behavior and telling him that it's not right and that she doesn't want to see him. That if he comes near her one more time and he's like, "No, no, I won't, I promise. Like the last thing I want is to go to prison and things like this." But she called the police
So he's
and she
already
reported.
got that in the back of
She's
his
like
head, like
thinking
he's
about it, yeah.
already, yeah.
He already knows that what he's doing is wrong, which is almost scarier because he knows that this isn't right. But she called the police. She showed them this recording, basically of him admitting that he had stolen her back door key and had broken into her house, and he was cautioned for stealing her back door key, not for stalking her or harassing her, despite obviously they have on record all of the other reports of this behaviour. It was a caution for theft. This was like a clear escalation from him harassing
But
her to breaking
as
into
we
her
looked at the
house.
definition last time with Muriel McKay, is that not burglary?
No, because there wasn't an
Unlawful.
intent to.
Why?
I thought that.
Staring at somebody over them sleeping is not illegal. Stalking them is not illegal. Is that not committing a crime? Is the illegally entering a
Yes,
property with the intent to commit a crime?
yeah, but I don't know if that's. I don't know. I mean, honestly, I've no idea how that would come under those definitions.
Like, you've illegally entered somebody's home. Like, if you went into someone's house just to sit on their sofa and watch TV, you're still committing a crime.
Yeah. Yeah.
So why is that not burglary by going in and standing over her like a creep?
Yeah. I mean, it's breaking and entering at the end of the day, like, at the very least. But no, he just was cautioned for the theft of the key.
What is a caution? Does that go? That goes down in your record, doesn't it? You get a caution.
Yes. Yeah. I'm pretty sure that does.
But at this point, there's no.
Let me check. If someone were to search on look at my search history.
Oh, I know. We are such detailed podcasters. We're literally learning as we go.
A caution is an official warning from the police.
But there's nothing on his record that he is a danger to this woman.
No, I guess not.
Because he didn't get an official caution when they called him. So at this moment in time, there is nothing official on his record that he has.
No, except for obviously there are reports against him. So he's never been charged with anything, or he's never been. He doesn't necessarily have anything specific on his record, but there are records of the several reports that she's made against him. So he obviously would still be linked with that. They'd be able to see that history. So this was another instance where if the police had simply put these instances together, had connected these dots, they could have seen that Shana was in danger, that she was under threat from a man that, she knew and she had had a relationship with, but she didn't invite him into her home.
90% of murders happen from people that you know.
Exactly, but still nothing. July 10th, she received 7 calls from an unknown number with just heavy breathing down the phone. She again called the police about it. Police said that he was a low risk. She got a letter from the police a few weeks later to say that the case was closed and they weren't looking into it anymore. The
time that they had taken to write out that stupid letter, they could have written him a letter telling him to pack it in.
Exactly. She then noticed that he was following her. She was like driving in her car and he would be a couple of cars behind her, if not right behind her. Shana was so scared. Like I said, at this point, she had asked friends and family to check in on her if they hadn't heard from her in a few hours, because it seemed the police wouldn't protect her. They had fined her £90 for wasting their time. And as I said, she had reported Michael Lane to the police 5 times over the last 6 months.
She's actually so brave to get that fine and then go back to the police.
And
like
still-
at 19,
still
I would not
report
have
it,
done
yeah.
that. I would have been like, no, they're going to think I'm wasting their time. Like, I don't want to do that. That is
Yeah.
so unbelievably brave of her, because I don't know many 19-year-olds who would have the, like, I don't even know what the word is. No, I'm right.
The nerve.
That inner
Not
strength.
the nerve, yeah.
But
Yeah.
the inner strength to know what I'm doing is right.
Yeah.
You have to listen to me or pay attention to me.
Yeah, no, for sure. For sure. So, August 20th. No, actually, strike that.
Strike it from the record.
Strike it from the record. August 23rd, Michael convinced Shana to go to a hotel with him and says, it's all that manipulative stuff again. It's our final farewell. It's for closure. He was blackmailing her with incriminating messages on his phone that would jeopardise her relationship with Ashley. And
hold on, I thought her and Ashley had split up.
They were back together again. I mean, like I said, you always get...
It's on off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But she went, she told him it was over, she told him that she didn't want to see him again, and she was firm in her what's the word? She was just very firm with him, saying, this is what I want.
In her decision.
Yes.
And
no
done.
more. I am
no more.
Done. Exactly. Fight the power. And so Michael Lane told one of his friends that he had been dumped, and he also said she will pay for what she's done.
Oh, I've been dumped. Why? Why is their baby ego so fragile?
It's literally so sad. But what I did find was that 1 in 2 domestic stalkers, when they make a threat, they will act on it.
Oh.
1 in 2.
So half, 50%.
50% of domestic stalkers, if they say, I'm going to kill you, they are 50% chance that they are actually going to kill you, which is terrifying. I mean, terrifying that...
Do you know,
thing, but...
we have it on this podcast, evidence of you saying, I will kill you, to me.
Yeah, but I'm not a domestic stalker.
I don't know, you've not left me alone for 26 years.
There's also evidence on this podcast of me saying that I've been trying to get rid of you for 26 years, so works both ways, doesn't it? Anyway,
she moved halfway across the world and then she missed me so much she moved back and she moved into my house, just saying.
Yeah, and then a year later I moved out again. I was like, oh God, what a big mistake that was.
That's a lie, it's because you got a boyfriend.
I didn't get a boyfriend when I moved. I got a boyfriend after the fact. So, on August the 25th, Ashley was staying at Shana's house and he got up around 7 a.m. to go to work, as he normally did. That was their routine. They had plans to see each other later that day. They had plans on the weekend. So, he did his normal goodbye and left the house. But he got a call a couple of hours after that, to say that Shana hadn't turned up for work. So he asked his dad, Ian, to stop by to check on her. And when Ian showed up at her house, he saw smoke coming out of the windows. He tried to go inside, but found there was something wedging Shana's door shut. So he couldn't open it. So because of all the smoke and everything, he quickly ran outside to get some air and then ran back in again to barge the door open. And
what a hero!
I know, an absolute sweetheart. He barged the door open, and through the smoke he could see that there was somebody laying there. At first he said that he thought it was like a duvet, but then realised it was a person who was calling out for Shana, but then eventually he saw that she was face down, she was already dead. And so he called the police immediately. They found that the fire, as Ian had said, that she was already dead. They found that the fire had been started with a liquid accelerant, like gasoline or something like that, and her throat had been slit with a knife. I know, awful, absolutely awful. Michael Lane was arrested within hours. Obviously, the police could see that there were all of these reports, speaking to neighbours and friends.
Now it's serious.
Now it's serious.
You take it seriously. Yeah.
Exactly. But pretty much everyone said, right, she had a stalker. She's been being harassed. We've heard arguments from her flat. That everybody pointed to Michael Lane. But when he was questioned, he said he didn't know anything about it. He was released on bail. But when they started collecting evidence, there was absolutely no denying his involvement in...
He was released on bail. What is with that?
I can't.
Why?
It's okay.
Do you know that with like financial crimes and drug crimes, they won't release them on bail in case that they go... Remand. You put them on remand. But if they are a threat to a person or to women, no, don't worry about it. Just, send them out. But we'll put bail conditions in place and say that they can't talk to you.
Oh, yeah, brilliant.
Or they can talk to you, they just can't be near you.
Yeah. And it's okay, their family can still talk to you as well. Threaten you, in fact.
Why? Why is it like this?
It's broken. It's all broken. So one of the things that they found on him, in fact...
Sorry, can I just say, did you read The Secret Barrister?
No, I don't think I did.
It literally spells out all these things, the problems from like children and victims of domestic violence and all these cases that essentially are just bottom of the pile. Some random solicitor is assigned to them, a solicitor who's going to work their backside off, but I'm talking solicitor that has 100 cases to deal with in a week, if not more. They can't do it justice, and they're just seen in magistrates' courts, whereas big crimes, which are things like financial crimes, or when it escalates to murder, they're the ones that are dealt with in a big... So why don't we just deal with the abuse and the domestic violence and the abuse of children when it's what you consider small? Why don't we deal with that in a big court and put in proper sentencing, and then we won't have to be dealing with so many murders? Just an idea.
Just Catherine for Prime Minister!
Oh my God, I can't think of anything worse.
You'd make an excellent Prime Minister. You've got the right
Put him in prison.
Exactly, all of them.
Yes, they need a jury. I know he only wolf whistled at her, but 12-man jury, and I don't want to hear anything else about it. Make it 12-woman jury.
Yeah. Yeah. So, as I said, there was like no denying his involvement. They caught him on CCTV filling up a can of petrol the day before. There were bus cameras that caught him close to her house at the time she was murdered. And
so he's not even good at this. So he's also an idiot.
Also stupid, yeah. And he also, I mean, get this, was that he took, after killing her, he took her bank card and withdrew £60 from her bank account.
Obviously, he had to buy dinner before he went to prison.
But then, do you not know that there are cameras on, every single ATM? And that they can trace who the pin that you used?
At that point, all he's thinking about is, oh my God, some dumb girl dumped me and I'm so embarrassed. I have to get my payback. That is all that's going through his tiny little worm of a brain.
Well, this £60, he believed that she owed her. And so it was like, I'm just going to get the money that she is before I'm convicted of murder. So stupid. So stupid. So he took out this £60 that he believed she owed her.
What an idiot.
Yeah. Apparently it was supposed to be more than that, but she didn't have that much in her account, so he just checked the balance and took out.
So that was actually really nice of him.
Yeah, really. He changed his shoes and his shirt and he dumped the shoes nearby. And the police then found these shoes with his DNA in them and Shana's blood also on them. They also discovered that he had put a tracker on her car, and that was how he was able to follow her, and that he would go by every few days to charge it up to ensure that it didn't run out of charge and he could continue.
What?
Yeah. Oh, I'm so mad. 8 days after her murder, and in his 7th police interview, and after they tell him that they had CCTV footage of him going into her house at 8:22 a.m. So this was after she had already been killed. They believe that he killed her around 7:40, that he left the house, went and got this money out. He checked a lottery ticket at the local supermarket, went back changed his clothes, and then went back at 8:22, and that was when he started the fire. So
was that like his escape plan? 60 quid and a lottery ticket. What? So if I'm a millionaire, I'll be able to get out of Dodge.
Honestly,
what?
It's so stupid. But
imagine if he'd won the lottery. How mad would you be? How mad would he have been if he was like, I've just won the Euro Millions and now I'm a murderer? The real
Wait,
payback.
We can't. No, stop. No, stop it. Stop it. Stop it. So, in his 7th police interview, and they told him they found the CCTV footage of him going back into her house, he then changes his story and he says that he did go to her house because obviously he was a stalker, so he just happened to be in the area, and it was around 8:20, 8:30, and he'd gone past the house and noticed that her car was there, and that he thought, oh, that's odd, so because she should have been going to work. So he went up to the house. I mean, he's just such a
good citizen.
Just a great guy that he just happened to be in the area.
Oh no, she's going to be late for work.
Yeah, exactly. Oh my God, yeah. So he went up to the house, saw that the front door was open, went in, saw that Shana was dead, and he said that he panicked and he left. And so they said, well, why didn't you call anyone? You didn't check her vitals, you didn't call an ambulance, you didn't call the police, you did nothing. And he said that he panicked, he was scared, he had never seen a dead body before, and was worried that they would think that he had done it.
Why do they always say that?
Yeah, I know.
Stephen Port said that a lot as well. I was worried that they'd think I was a murderer. Do you know who thinks that? Murderers.
Yeah, honestly, genuinely. So he pleaded not guilty, but in the trial, it took just over 2 hours for the jury to convict Michael of her murder, and he was sentenced to life in prison on the 23rd of March 2017. But they found during this trial that he had stalked and harassed 12 other women between the times of 2006 and 2016, but none of them had actually come forward, and none of them had reported him, because so many of these cases just go unreported. There was somebody who was saying that he had stalked her for 10 years and would take a picture outside her house and say, I can see you, and send her a picture of her bedroom window.
And the reason that so much of it goes unreported is because when it is reported, they don't care.
Exactly. So I think that there's a system in place that when a victim has been in contact with the police around the time of their death, that the police watchdog is automatically enlisted, that case is automatically passed on to them for them to just look into it, to do their inquiry. And so the IOPC...
Sorry, just one thing, just because we don't know who's listening. Can you just explain what the police Ofcom watchdog is for us?
I mean, if you'd listened to the last episode, then maybe you would know. Let me just find out what the IOPC
Wow. Oh, no. I was saying it's Ofcom watchdog, isn't it?
Yeah, no, but the watchdog is also known as the Independent Office for Police Conduct, which is also known as the IOPC. So they basically are just an independent organisation that looks into cases like this, that do internal reviews of systems in our police force. So, following this murder trial, the police watchdog led a 2-year investigation into the way officers from Sussex Police had dealt with the case. So, 13 police staff were investigated for misconduct and 1 for gross misconduct. And Godfrey was found. Do you remember Godfrey? He was the one.
We hate him.
He was the one that gave her the fine. He actually stood by his. He's an idiot. He said he.
Did he get a fine?
He did. They found that he had committed misconduct by not investigating Shana Grice's complaints of harassment, and he had already left the police force before all of these hearings. Well, otherwise he would have been let go. He would have been released
Fired.
from his position.
Yeah.
Yeah, he would have been fired, but he had already left beforehand. And
Did they fine him?
I
A
couldn't see
£90
anything.
fine?
Couldn't
They
see
should
anything
have.
about a fine. But
They should have been
there
like,
was
here for wasting victims' times.
Catherine! There was one other that was found to have committed gross misconduct as well, and when he ignored Miss Grice's repeated stalking reports. And both of those people have left the force. Well, they left the force before the hearings, but again would have been let go if not. But
can I ask a question?
Go on.
I know I'm driving you bananas. Do you know if they were men or women?
The men that they dealt with, they're like the police officers.
Yeah. Were they all men?
All of the 14.
Mm.
They didn't name all 14 members that were
No, sorry, the 3 that you just mentioned. But so we know we have Godfrey was a man.
Yeah, no, there were only 2 that had one that had been found guilty of misconduct, and both of them were men. But I don't know how many of the 14 were male or female. But I know that in some of her earlier interaction with the police, some of them were female police officers. But I don't know. But I think the original ones, do you remember when she called and said, I think I'm being stalked, and she just wants him to have a warning and to be told to leave her alone? That was a woman, and she had called Michael Lane and said, you need to back off, you need to leave her alone, etc., etc. And I don't know if she was one of the ones that was investigated, but that was also at the very early stage.
Very early on, yeah. I do actually think that a lot of the time men and women in these, like, they become desensitized, and they often they don't take these things seriously. So that wasn't me saying that it's mainly men. I dealt with some incredible male police officers. I dealt with some horrific female police officers. So it was just like an observation. I wonder... Sometimes I actually think male police officers, especially if they're detectives and maybe older, actually are better to deal with young women, being able to relate to them in terms of their daughters and their nieces and wives.
Protective instinct, isn't it?
Whereas women can often be quite judgmental of other women and think that you're bringing like trouble to yourself or whatever. But just to...
Yeah, no, that's fair enough. I mean, of course, this whole case just angers me in the worst ways. In the same way that the Stephen Port case angered me, that this so easily could have been prevented if people took notice, if people connected the dots. And Shana was her parents' only child. She had so many friends that were all paying tributes to her, that everyone was devastated at her death. And it was a relief that this inquiry did find people guilty, but I know that it wasn't enough for the family. The family did want more. They did want even more justice for the way that this was dealt with. But I wanted to end this just talking a little bit more about stalking in general, just to provide... Can
I ask one thing?
Go on.
Before you do that, because I want to end on that. I don't want to end on this dirtbag. Michael Lane, you said he got life. Does he have a minimum parole, or is it a life order?
Yeah, 25 years to life. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. That seems to be, when it's not sexually motivated, that's where they start, isn't it? 25.
Yes. Yeah, I agree.
Okay.
But they also took into account the fact that it was obviously all premeditated, that he'd waited. He'd waited. He knew when her housemates were going to be out of the house. He had bought the gasoline beforehand.
Of course, the housemates.
Yes. Did I tell you? I don't know if I mentioned the fact that they literally...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, no, but I did say that they'd found him on CCTV buying gasoline the day before.
Yeah.
It was all premeditated. It was...
Was there anything from the housemates afterwards? Like, they must have been so traumatised. They lost their house and their friend.
The only things that I found about her housemates was that, I think that the fire was, because he'd like slammed the door shut, like wedged it shut, the fire was quite contained in her room. So thankfully it didn't spread to much of the rest of the house. But the only things that I found her housemates talking about were their experience with Shana before she died, and how scared she was, and testifying to her relationship with Michael. I didn't find anything much about their reactions after the fact.
Yeah. Okay.
But I mean, that's fair enough, because I can imagine they weren't probably thinking about themselves, you know. But yeah, so I want to finish on just a little bit, having a quick conversation about what stalking is, and that just to encourage people to recognize the signs, and to not be afraid to speak up if you think that you are being stalked, or if you are experiencing these kinds of persistent behaviours. So 1 in 7 people aged 16 years and over in England and Wales have been a victim of stalking at least once, with women and younger people the most commonly affected, which is a huge amount. I think it's about 8.3% of men are affected by stalking, but that is a lot more, around 20 to 25% of women. So even this can happen to men or women. It doesn't matter.
Of any age, of any demographic.
Age. Exactly. In the crime survey for England and Wales, they define stalking as 2 or more incidents causing distress, fear, or alarm, including receiving obscene or threatening unwanted letters, emails, text messages, or phone calls, having obscene or threatening information about them placed on the internet, a person waiting or loitering around their home or workplace, and being followed or watched. So
just to really reiterate that, though, that could just be, it doesn't have to be 2 obscene phone calls. It could just be 2 unwanted text messages can then qualify as. So if you've got somebody that you've said not to contact you and they text you twice, it doesn't have to be obscene or scary or anything like that. If it's uncomfortable to you, it is a problem.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, they could send you an unwanted message and you see them standing outside your house the next day, and that still qualifies.
That's twice.
That's the crime survey for England and Wales. But there are lots of different resources that you can find online about how to deal with these kinds of things, who you can reach out to. And it's important to advocate for yourself, because don't let anyone tell you that you're wrong, or that it's not justified. Your feelings of fear and discomfort are unjustified, because you know what you're experiencing more than anybody else. And trust your gut. You know, you need to advocate for yourself, and you need to push, and don't let anyone tell you no if you know what is going on is wrong. You know,
and what the police say, that's not the final word. No. If you have not received the help or the support that you need, you don't feel capable of advocating for yourself. And, you know, I went on that rant that was clearly from a place of being massively privileged with my family, but that's not to say that you can't find someone else to advocate for you. There are charities that people can advocate for you. Geez, call me. I'll come to a police station and advocate for you. Oh, yeah. You know, Citizens Advice Bureau, Rosie will tell us more, but you can ask for a different police officer, and you can take, you know, a real grown-up, because we're not real grown-ups. You can take a real grown-up with you to advocate for you. You're not doing anything wrong by saying, I'm not happy with how you've dealt with this. Please get someone else to help me or to look at it.
No, exactly. So there is a national stalking helpline that you can reach out to on 0808 802 0300. But there are also so many resources. There are so many people that you can speak to that are here to support people going through these difficult times. So you never have to feel like you're alone. And do reach out. Do tell a friend, even if you feel stupid saying that somebody's texting you multiple times, or that you feel like you've seen the same person on your street a couple more times than you feel comfortable with. Just speak about it, talk about it, and we need to normalize actually standing up and speaking out about these things. So yeah,
like the incredible Giselle Pellico said,
Mm-hmm.
the shame has to change sides. You know, it's not on the victim, it's not on the abused person to feel any shame or embarrassment. You've done nothing wrong. Even if you dated that person, even if you dated and then broke up and then went back to that person, no matter what happens, you have done nothing wrong. There is nothing to be ashamed of. The shame has to swap sides. She could not have been more perfect when she said that.
No.
So thank you, Mia Moore, for that episode. How many times did I drive you bananas?
I think I'm gonna have to start making a tally because you just have so much to say, and it's like, hi, this is my story. This is my time to shine, and you just kept on butting in.
Steamroller.
Yeah, privilege check.
I would say I'm going to stop, but I'm not.
I know that you're not, but
I'm pretty sure I can't help it. I just get so excited.
I'm gonna have to just start muting you so that
when you edit this, you know, you can actually just mute me out, and you can have you telling your story, and I'll be there like.
I think that I'm going to have to do that, to be fair, in some bits.
Oh, team, thank you so much for listening to our episode. Who knows what? We are nearly at 10 episodes, and after our 10th episode, we're actually going to give you a bonus episode, which we are very excited to do, even though we're not 100% sure on what it's going to be, but it's going to be great.
And we're definitely not prepared for it, but what are you going to do?
We're going to go and do that right now. Wild Friday night. Preparation time. Okay. Please go and follow us on all of our socials. We are 26 to Life Pod on YouTube and Spotify, and we are 26 to Life _pod on Instagram and TikTok. Come and leave us comments, say hi, and we love you. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
I'll speak to you on WhatsApp.
Yeah.
Okay, bye.